from the work you do, not only from the stage, but the research that you've broken down creativity into 4 types. And one that's interesting to me, they all are, but this peer creativity, right? Where you go to events, you go to conferences, and that's where that spark is ignited or the flame is turned up, or that the opportunity to have that, our audience, I just want to reach out. Thank you for coming back. Thanks for subscribing. Many, not all, are meeting planners and event planners who are incredibly creative, but on the surface, they're dealing with catering, security, hotels, ground transportation, lighting, agendas and everything, but it requires a tremendous amount of creativity. Find that through line for us, for our audience, and you can bring it into the super creativity that you talk about. Where is that through line there?
Well, I think meetings of the past, you could be quite traditional in some ways. There's like a 3-day event, and the first day there was an opening thing, and then there was a keynote speaker on the first day, and the second day there was something that's maybe an awards. But I'm finding now with a lot of events, we're seeing more of a festivalization of events. They want it to be that much more interactive, because a lot of what we think of the side rooms at conferences or meetings, that's all staying online. That they don't need to go to Las Vegas or somewhere to go and get a training. That's not the point anymore. So what is the point of events now? I believe the purpose of meeting planners and event planners is to be the curators of conversations. The curators of conversations about building culture in an organization, because I think that is where it lends itself. And actually, it's going back to something very old and very ancient. Like 2,500 years ago, you had something called symposiums. So the word symposium just comes from the Greek word, which means to drink together, because the Greeks weren't stupid. They knew a little bit of alcohol could be quite conducive to the creative process. And so what we're doing is often we're creating these kind of events now, events. Yes, you have all the food and the everything, all the transportation, logistics, but you're also wanting to create this space I sometimes refer to as a third space, where you can be together with your peers to debate, discuss, challenge each other's ideas as well. And that's where the great stuff happens. Only 18% of your ideas will ever happen when you're sitting at your desk at work. Most event ideas don't come there. That's why I think events are so powerful, because it gets you out of your usual workspace and puts you into a different kind of place mentally and physically. And I think great meeting and event planners, they understand that. And I think that's where you're seeing a lot more actually creativity come back in to events now as well. And so I actually think it's quite an exciting time, because the pandemic just shifted everything up. And now I'm seeing a lot of events happening in the beaches of Cancun rather than in traditional spaces. I see a lot more health and well-being, yoga kind of going on as well.
Yeah.
I love what I'm seeing. I just spoke in just outside Riyadh in Saudi Arabia, and I'm seeing this. I also did one in Rome last week, exactly the same kind of thing, where they're also thinking about what is the impact that we want to have for our event to have on that local community. So they're working with like local charities, and there was one I saw, they were building the teamwork exercise that they were doing is building bicycles for those children with disabilities in the area as well. And I just think like all that stuff, it just makes it that kind of creative space.
And whether it's conscious or not, you're there building a bike, and it's sparking a whole different, part of your brain, and you're connecting. I love that curating conversations. We are the Keynote curators, and I feel that, speech can change the world. It can change a life, and that's a high-minded aspiration. But I really believe that one speech, one life, the world is changed forever. It goes it's kind of on a different trajectory in the right direction. But curating conversations, it's that provocation in the healthy sense of the word, provoking dialogue, provoking discourse, provoking a challenge in the best way to, have some real new conversations. I love that aspect of it.